There is a brand new quest in the game called Fortunas Favored, and it's easily one of the hardest quests to complete in this entire game. If you like videos like this, leave a like, subscribe, follow me on Twitch. I stream almost every day. And without further ado, let's hop right into it. So when we're in the station, if we go over to the lucky leaf van, which has Fortunas Favored right under it, we're gonna go all the way over here to the bar, and this is Badum, and he's the one that's gonna give you this quest. As you see, I've already completed the quest, but we'll go over what you actually need to do in order to complete it. So this right here is part 1. You can't see what it is, but I'll put it on screen. Quest number 1 is to simply reach level 12 in all factions. So if you go back and you press tab and you look top left, as you can see, my core level is 19, my ICA is 18, and my Osiris is 18. You just have to get all of these 3 factions to 12, and once you do that, you'll complete part 1, which is super simple. Now, once we go to mission number 2, this is where it starts to get a little bit tedious. So you're gonna have to kill 300 heavy striders, 200 mature rattlers, and 80 savage marauders. Now, in your head, you're like, that's a lot, but let me tell you one thing. If you just do this quest as you go through your normal quests of all the factions, you'll be done with a couple things just naturally. I can guarantee you that you'll finish your heavy striders first, your savage marauders second, and then you'll be stuck in the mature rattlers, and that's where I'm going to tell you the best spot to farm these things. Now, the best strategy is to go on Bright Sands, and I know some of you are thinking, why not just go to Pinnacle? Trust me, when things reset, these rattlers just won't spawn, or if they do spawn, there won't be enough. So just trust me on this. Do this strategy. So jungle right here is going to be the main component of this route, and one great thing about jungle is that it resets so quickly. So wherever you spawn, you're going to want to go into jungle, and basically you're going to do a zigzag pattern through the whole thing. So if you go through comms tower, you're going to go this way, hit jungle camp, go all the way this way, then go back through crash ship, then go that way, and then literally you want to scan the whole entirety of jungle. And once you finish jungle, you're going to do something very specific. Is you're going to run through dig site, run through a corridor, and then run all the way through comms tower. And by the time you do this run through, again, if you go from top to bottom or bottom to top, do this run, and when you get back into jungle, everything is going to have respawned already. So what I did is I farmed this around 3 times. So I'd go through jungle around 3 times, and then by this time I'd have a good amount done. Again, I'm not saying you'll get 100 rattlers done in 2 games just like that. You just won't. I'd say my average for each run, so if I went to the jungle 1 time and I did my strategy, I'd say my average was 7 to 12 rattlers. Again, that's if you go to certain spots. That's if you go to the whole entirety and you get every single spawn point. Again, sometimes they won't spawn, sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you get unlucky, but I'd say I can guarantee you a good amount of rattlers in this area in the 7 to 12 range. Again, you might find more and you might find less, but this is easily the best strategy. Go to jungle, do your zigzags, and then make sure you go around, hit the road all the way, and you can find 1 rattler at comms tower, and you can find maybe 1 rattler in the cave in dig site. So make sure to hit those areas as well, and then just go back in the jungle and do your strategy. But that's the best way to complete part 2 of this quest. Now, part 3 is easily one of my least favorite parts of this quest because it just takes so much, man. What you're gonna have to do for this quest is collect 100,000 old currency. That means you're gonna have to give it to Badum, so keep 100,000 old currency in your stash. You're gonna have to loot 3,000 containers. Doesn't matter if anyone else has opened them before you. You just have to literally press F and then cancel it. You just have to open the thing and leave it. That's all you have to do. Just open and close any container. Doesn't matter what you loot. Then you have to loot 35 power-up puzzle containers, and those are going to be the containers that you get from doing the puzzles, and they're going to contain the mini reactors. So you kind of have to do 35 puzzles, but I'm sure some of them will be open. And the best strategy for this is super simple as well. So for part 3, you're going to want to make your way to Crescent Falls. This is going to be your baby, and I'm going to tell you why. So looting 3,000 containers is easily going to take the most time out of any of this. I didn't start doing my 35 puzzles until I was about halfway through looting containers. I wanted to be done at around the same time, and puzzles you can do pretty quickly because there's 3 puzzles on Crescent. There is the Geo puzzle, there's the Greens Prospect puzzle, and there's the Skelly puzzle. These are fairly simple to do. I'd say Greens is number 1 easiest, Geo is 2, then Skelly is 3, just because they're not hard. Skelly just has more range to run, so it takes a little longer. Greens Prospect puzzle is almost always open because people literally do this almost every raid because it's so easy. But for puzzles, I would 100% just look at the puzzles every raid. If they're already open, just go through them. Again, if you want to do these 2 the most, go for it. This one is extremely annoying. I mean, it's easy to do, but it's just a little bit tedious. I would 100% recommend you can do these puzzles almost every raid. They're super simple. But the best strategy that I found for looting containers is really easy. I didn't go to this bottom portion of the map too much. I just didn't because it was always out of the way and it was not near anything I really needed. So no matter where I would spawn, I would make my way to the top right corridor of the map, and I would simply loot a couple different things. And depending on where you spawn and where your evacs are, I would always make sure sure to hit up Green's Prospect, loot everything in there. I would hit up Admin. I would hit up Warehouse. I would 100% hit up Pinnacle Labs. There's also a building that's called Red. That's right underneath Pinnacle. It's a little building by the oil fields. It's right about there. And this thing has like 10 to 15 little things you can tap open. So I would 100% guarantee you hit that. If you're in the area, I would recommend you also get Lakeside in this little area. But my main route, my main method was to loot these four right here. I would go on this path, make sure I hit everything. And honestly, from my best raids of looting everything possible, I was hitting at about 175 to 200 containers per raid. And obviously you could get more, but I was trying to min-max as much as possible. So I didn't want to run all the way out of my way, all the way down here to Favela. And that just takes a ton of time to run here. Then if my evacs are all the way up here, it's just not a fun time. So what I would recommend you do is stay on this top right portion of the map and just kind of go in a straight line this way. That's going to be your best bet. Again, this is going to be your best route. And I'm sure you have a couple evacs close. You'll obviously hopefully have one of these evacs like Pumpkin Field or Hay Fields. And then hopefully you have Admin, which makes it even better. So again, depending on your evacs, this route can be extremely worthwhile, especially that we have 3 evac points now. This is easily going to be the best method for the strategy. And for the old currency aspect, 100,000 seems like a lot, but it's really not. If you loot all the jackets in this area, like Warehouse, Starport, Admin, Green's Prospect, you'll get 100k in a couple raids. Really, it's not that hard. Just start collecting and upgrade your stash so you have a little bit more room, because you'll need it down the line, trust me. This is easily the best strategy for completing this part of the quest. Now, part 4 is one of those parts that seems like it's going to be a lot, but it's really not. What you have to do is collect 100 charged spinal base, kill 5 crushers during an active storm, and kill 3 howlers during an active storm. Now, charged spinal base you can literally collect as you go. Before I even got to this quest, I already had my 100 done because I knew what the quests were. So that's what you guys should be doing. If you know you need items that are hard to get, start stacking them up, even if you're not in that part yet, because when you get to that part, trust me, you don't want to have 0 charged spinal base. Trust me. But for getting the crusher and the howlers during the storm, the howler's going to almost always spawn in this bottom left part of the map. He just is. He's always going to spawn here. So what you do is you find him. Once you get the 5-minute warning, start putting damage into him. And then as soon as the storm starts, you finally kill him. You hit him with the final blow, and then you run to kill your crusher. So what I was doing when I was in this bottom left part of the map, I would run and I would make sure I got the crusher at Lagoon. And then there's a couple different options. Obviously, you can run to Fallen Tree if you have time, kill that crusher. And then you have Jungle Thermal right there and kill that crusher as well. So you could technically, depending on where the howler is, you could kill the howler all the way up top here, and then you could run here and here, kill these 2 crushers, or you could kill the howler all the way back here in Favela. Then you got 1 crusher. So the howlers are the most annoying part, and you won't really have to worry about the crushers too much as long as you can get 2 in one go a couple times. But staying in this bottom left part of the map is going to be easily your best bet, because the howler can go up top here. He can go like top right, top left. He can go here. He can go in these areas, but he's mainly going to spawn right here. Usually on Nutrition Farms Processing is where he's sleeping. That's his most go-to spot, in my opinion. If you're curious on the charged spinal base, you literally just have to stay in a storm a couple times and get him going. I would recommend you go to the dungeon and wait for the 3rd room, because that 3rd room has like 20 striders. So you do a couple dungeons, wait for the storm in that room. You can get them all done fairly easily. And again, just start collecting them, even if you're on part 1 of this quest. Just start collecting them, keep it in your stash, because you're going to get annoyed when you don't have them. Now, part 5 of this quest is easily the one that took the longest for me, because I literally had to give away an arm and a leg to even get this done. This is where you have to hand in 300 leadium, 120 oil, and 10 progenitor slags. Now, leadium you obviously get from drills. Oil you obviously get from doing oil. But one thing that a lot of people ask me is, what exactly is a progenitor slag? So if you didn't watch my Forge video, go over and make sure to watch that, because I do explain what it is, but I'll explain it again for you guys. So let's just pretend that we're forging, right? We're forging. When you're making ingots, like imagine I'm going to make some ingots right now. I have 0 chance of getting a progenitor slag. I cannot get a progenitor slag, and it doesn't matter what type of ingots I'm trying to make. You will not get progenitor slags from just making ingots. What you have to do is put perks on some gear. It doesn't matter if you put 1 perk, 2 perks. It doesn't matter what type of armor you put the perk on. It's the same chance overall. There's a 10% chance of getting a progenitor slag from putting a perk on. So let's put a purple armor in here. Let's put our ingots and let's put a perk on. Basically, this is going to give us a 10% chance to roll a progenitor slag, and I'm not going to get it in this. I'm just not. It's going to be hard to get, obviously, because there's a 10% chance to get a progenitor slag, and there's a 50% chance to get an abyss alloy. So you're probably going to get an abyss alloy more likely than not. So the only way to really get progenitor slags is by putting perks on armor. You literally have to put perks on it. You can't get it by just making ingots. You have to put perks on a set of armor. You can also get them from an abyss alloy, but again, how many abyss alloys do we really all have? You know what I mean? What I did for this quest is I literally traded everything away. I gave away like 3 bassies, 2 brutes. I just traded to people for these progenitor progenitor slags, because when I got the quest done, obviously there weren't as many people that had progenitor slags because the forge was so new still. So hopefully by the time you do this quest, they're more available, they're going for cheaper. But if you really want to grind for it, it's gonna be a grind. Get prepared to forge a lot, but this is easily the most annoying item. If you ever get a progenitor slag, don't sell it. Now part 6 is extremely easy. You literally just have to hand in 800 scripts from each faction. So if you're doing your quest, you'll have a couple thousand scripts, so this really won't affect you. You have to hand in 800 Korlev scripts, 800 ICA scripts, and 800 Osiris scripts, and you'll be done. It's super simple. Nothing really you need to pre-plan for this one. Part 7 is going to be a little bit more on the tedious side because you have to complete 9 dungeons. You have to kill 3 alpha crushers and hit them with a final blow with an ICA weapon, a Korlev weapon, and an Osiris weapon. So you literally could do a dungeon with a core. As long as you get the final shot with a certain type of gun from each faction 3 times, you will have completed this quest. This quest isn't hard. It's just a little bit annoying. It's a little bit obnoxious, but if you watch my complete dungeon guide, which I will link down below, you'll learn how to do the dungeon extremely easily. Get a couple of friends and do them together, because the dungeons can be a little hard if you're a newer player and if you're not as experienced with the PvE in this game. But for this one, you could just bring a core and make sure to get the final blow with whatever faction gun you're getting. I literally got a final blow for the ICA with a bulldog, so literally just get the final shot with any of the different factions weapons, and it's 3 from each, and you'll get this quest done pretty easily. Again, it does take a little bit of time, but if you watch my dungeon guide, you'll be pretty much all good for this quest. Now part 8 is gonna be difficult, and prepare yourself because you have to get 800 creature kills with a craftable legendary weapon, and you have to get 40 prospector kills with any of the craftable legendary weapons. This does not include any of the prototype legendary weapons, so you can't use a Karma prototype, can't use a Zeus Beam prototype, you just can't. It has to be a craftable legendary weapon. So now for my 40 prospector kills, I did this in a solo match on Theris. You will see a video on it very soon. This is easily the best strategy for anyone to do if you're scared to complete this, because trust me, I had 1 comrade left because I already lost another one with 0 kills to my name. I had 1 comrade left and I didn't want to build another one. So when you go to Theris, you're going to go to one place and one place only, and that is Korlev Island HQ. You're going to go inside the big building and hold the staircase, hold the building, King of the Hill style, and you will get it done. Trust me, you will get so many people on you, but it's okay because the gun sometimes one-shots people. I mean, sometimes a 4-shot, but it is what it is. Again, you'll see a video on how I did it very soon in the near future for the channel, but this is easily the best strategy. Now, people might tell you, oh, that's just a way to rat. Okay, you use your legendary gun, go run around the map and die to a white kit in a bush with a PDW, and then come back, and then we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it together. But that's going to be the best strategy for getting your prospector kills. Again, you can go in a trio or in a duo, but for me, it didn't work out because it was too much. There was too many ratting potentials, and I told myself I would not lose this gun to a rat. I would become one with the rats, become the Splinter of the Ninja Turtles, if you get what I'm throwing down. Now for the 800 creature kills, this is simple. You do 3 dungeons and you farm the absolute living poop out of all the dungeons. As you see here, I'm in the very first room, and if you stand in the water, you'll have these acid ticks that don't stop spawning, and you can literally shoot in a certain pattern. As you see, I'm going left to right, and I kill 4 acid ticks once they spawn. You can do this for quite some time. They do stop spawning at some point, but literally finish the first room, sit in the water, kill all the ticks, and then once they stop spawning, then you move on to the next room. I did all my 800 creature kills in 3 dungeons, and trust me, this is easily the best strategy. So for the first room, you're going to complete the room, kill everything in the water, just wait for everything to stop spawning. Once they stop spawning, move on to the next room. Now for the next room, there's nothing really too special about it. You're going to farm all of the mobs that are in there. You're going to finish the room, and then if you go to the very back of the room, there's going to be this little area, which is the drop down area, and you're actually going to have blast ticks that don't stop spawning if you stand in the area. And again, this area is a little bit worse because if you explode them, you just can't see anything, so make sure to shoot them in the face. But you can farm these guys for quite a while, just like I did in the first room. Farm these guys, make sure you kill every single one until they stop spawning, and then you can move on to the third room. Now the third room doesn't really have a spawn that you can kind of camp the acid ticks from. There's literally nothing besides the main door that makes you exit the room, which like 4 or 5 spawn there. But this room is completed normally. There's nothing you can really farm here, so complete the third room. Super simple. And then the last room is where you're gonna really get a big bang for your buck. Now our strategy for this last room was to make sure that the crusher didn't get below 50 HP. We wanted to get him low, but not super low, right? We got him to about 75 HP left in his health bar, and then all we did was we trained, and I killed as many acid ticks as I could, and by the time everything stopped spawning, you can just rinse the crusher because nothing else can spawn, literally nothing else. If you just farm the acid ticks, the striders, the marauders, and wait for them to stop spawning, which does take a good amount of time. There is a lot of waves. I was bringing around 1,600 to 2,000 bullets bullets for my Zeus beam, and I literally did it in 3 raids. Again, farm the last room for as much as you can. Don't get the crusher below 50 HP, because if you do, you'll get acid ticks that start spawning, and then you're gonna have to run around with acid. So if you do this when he's above 50 HP, you won't even have to deal with him. You just have to kill the red acid ticks, you have to kill the marauders, the striders, and then everything stops spawning and you can just kill the crusher on your own, and then you farm the dungeon to its complete potential. I think if I farmed better the first run that I did, I could have completed this in 2 raids, but I didn't farm it to the best potential, and in the last dungeon I had to get about 120 more creature kills. But I think it is possible to do this in 2 dungeons if you farm it fully like I was telling you, and you just have fun with it. When else are you gonna use a Zeus beam in a dungeon? You know what I mean? Then if you want to see what you get from the rewards, watch my last video where I show off every single reward you get for doing this quest. And again, with this guide, you should do this quest no problem. Again, it's gonna take a long time, it's gonna take a while, but trust me, you can get through it. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you next one. Deuce.